magic. And we'll quickly find out how friendly the stores will be to that strategy.
And we're off. So, what do we have in the magic shops today?
Nuke! It's there!
Nuke, pretty good. Now, some powerhouse magic right at the start.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, if you get class change, you've got the fighter who's going to be able to learn some white magic, you've got the thief who's going to be able to learn some black magic, so could be very friendly to class change in this seed.
And it looks like Philes is just running for Temple of Fiends.
Oh, why not? The items were pretty expensive.
Looks like Miaut's gonna play it safe, and so far, nothing bad happening to Philes, but we'll see. Probably get about 3 or 4 more encounters as he goes through here after fighting off these skeletons.
So this is round 3 flags. A little bit different than the winner's bracket, but we have more rounds to get through here. So prices are up to 300%, and enemy stats are up to 220%. Experience is the 400% bonus, plus 400.
And best possible sequencing for Philes, and he has taken out Garland in under 2 minutes. So Philes receives his complimentary loot and bridge. We'll see what else he decides to buy before heading over to Provoca. Probably will be skipping Matoya's cave early.
Yeah, I understand that play if you don't have tents or even possibly cabins on the cheap. You just hate to spend the extra time if it's not even going to be worth it. Also, enemy scripts are shuffled in this round, so there could be unpleasantness on the walk. Also, with that nuke early game, you're not so worried about what you pick up from the early treasure chests other than TNT. I think I'm being queued up for a line. Chat says they want imps with nuke. The way I describe enemy script shuffle is, do you want imps with nuke? Because this is how you get imps with nuke. Not surprised at all to see Philes go with the red mage strategy. That's pretty typical for him. I'm a little bit surprised Miaut adopted the same strategy, but the black belt isn't surprising, so red mage makes quite a bit of sense with the forces that you're faced with.
Yeah, and at this point, it just feels like you're almost running a 3-person party, and it's up to kind of up to what you find early and how things shake out randomly. Who's going to be the Dan of the group? Probably not the black belt or the red mage, but I could see the fighter or the thief taking a dirt nap.
Heal 3 and Fog 2 are pretty friendly on the white magic side. Not much to speak of on the black magic side. Really expensive silver swords, so not able to pick one up for that fighter right now, and you'll just have to hope you get something soon. Sorry, giving the link to the Discord in chat. That's a great place to get started if you want more information about the randomizer or even just Final Fantasy itself, because you've got a lot of experience and a lot of information available. The early game that we're looking at, for those who may be new, it's all about an item called TNT, and you'll definitely know it when we find it. We need that to open up the rest of the world, or at least half of the rest of the world. So after beating the pirates, we get a ship, and then we look a few places for TNT.
And it looked like the pirates had paralysis touch, but didn't hit the mage, so everything is fine and dandy.
We've got the cabins. They're not dirt cheap, but they're not out of reason either. Silver bracelets here, they can do in a pinch when you don't have gold, but they're too expensive for the moment.
Yeah, it looks like Philes is just going to opt for the iron armor. Now, was he able to find tents or cabins in the item shop?
We had cabins here in Provoca. They were about 200, so Philes was, I think, picked up 20 of them.
Okay, so Matoya's is definitely coming next.
And for Miaut, the pirates are down. So he will pick up the ship, and then basically this part's probably going to be pretty identical between the runners. And a very little amount of gold for Matoya's cave, so checking for the lazy dwarfs next. The dwarf cave is your destination for the TNT, so that is where 2 free chests are available, and then it's a quick, easy walk to get the TNT down there. Worth mentioning for anyone who's just coming in, our forced classes are the fighter and thief. Do you want to talk any, Edge, about the different approach of having the thief in the lead for Miaut? Or maybe Edge had to step away for a moment. The goal of having the thief in front is to cut down on ambush rates, more than anything.
Sorry, you caught me just as I had taken a drink.
Okay. You want to explain better than I did then?
Yeah, so there's an initiative rating that determines whether you get ambushes, and it's calculated based off of the agility and the luck of the character in the lead slot. And early game, there is... Actually, all throughout the game, there's no better character to put in that slot than the thief. The issue comes when you get to about late game that thief just becomes a punching bag for nasty things like gas dragons and zombie dragons. So at some point you want to take the thief out of the lead slot and put someone tankier in front. And for both of these party comps, I imagine it will be the power level black belt should they so choose to do that.
So what we've seen is no early access to the TNT. This means the next destination for our runners is going to be the Ice Cave. Ice 2 is available here at level 3 Black Magic. That's a very good place for it to be.
So, level 1 nuke, pretty nice for cleaning out that marsh cave. Looks like there will be no access to life.
Invis 2 was available at level 3 White Magic Shop. Also, Temper was in the Black Magic. Bane and Light 2 in the Black Magic side for level 4.
So, with no access to life, I would not be surprised if Philes decides to do a 42 black belt this seed.
There are a lot of advantages, but we'll hold off that conversation, because if that's what he's going to do, we're going to need things to talk about.
Agreed.
They will have to go to the Marsh Cave. I'm a little surprised he didn't pick up Ice 2, or at least if he did, I didn't see it.
Ice 2 is probably not going to get him very much mileage in the Marsh Cave. If it was Fire 2, he might have considered it. That's pretty good against a lot of the undead enemies that you will find. Ice 2 might be something that he picks up on the way back.
That would be my expectation, because the normal next destination for runners is going to be the volcano, and obviously ice the right element to bring into there. And it's on a different spell slot than Nuke, so it gives you more AoE charges. Predictions on sword chuck locations. Well, in a chest we don't see. I'll just say that. But I appreciate the reference. I'm amused. Oh, somebody put their house in the Marsh Cave.
I mean, you don't get much cheaper land values than this.
Yeah, but the property tax is cheap. A couple of houses so far. And there's our TNT in the north of Marsh Cave. So now it begs the question, do you even stay?
So my philosophy is, if I haven't run into anything particularly nasty, I'll generally check out the basement. That might be a little different if you don't have access to exit or warp, because then you have to walk all the way back up.
It's a fair point, and they're not going to have a ton of spell charges right now, so could be an unpleasant walk at that. The Dragon Sword, by the way, we didn't talk about, but an improvement for the fighter over the bare hands for sure.
It's also one of the strongest weapons that the thief can equip, and if Agamas turn out to be very weak, it's also an excellent item against them, as they fall into the dragon category for the purposes of this game.
And why is that significant with round 3 Flag's Edge, I ask?
Because weapon fixes are on, and that means bonus attributes if you are using a weapon against the appropriate class. So giant swords will hurt giants more, dragon swords will hurt dragons more, and ice swords will actually beat up water elementals quite nicely.
So it looks like both runners want to see what's in the rest of this Marsh Cave. Or, I'm sorry, Miaut does. We don't know about Philes yet. Now we know about Philes. Maya rooting for toxic wizards. I don't know about that one. These scums, though, is slow. If there's anything worse than scums, it's a slow scum fight. Then again, I repeat myself.
So if the blizzards are going, or the wizards are going to have anything nasty, I should hope it's something like Blizzard, so you get nice rhyming cadence there. Oh, there's a wizard staff from Miaut.
An interesting little pickup. I've seen other people use it quite well. It's not in my repertoire of regular items, but one I think I want to explore using a little bit better.
Very effective against Carry 2. Carry 2 being weak to status, so that fight just got significantly less scary.
And being a weapon, he's got plenty of slots to hold on to it. That's not going to be a concern. Whereas armor, sometimes you have to pick your battles. And our look at the wizards, only 3 of the 4. Nuke being nice and non-elemental should take care of business.
You know, it looks like wizards only rolled 1 hit, so that's pretty nice. It can be very frightening when they get 2 or 3 hits.
So by the way, Philes just picked up the wizard staff in a different chest. So if you're seeing that and wondering how did that happen, some of the contents of these chests are linked, so you can get it in more than one location. The floater is down here, so that justifies the play.
So early floater for both players. So this is going to be a mad rush to Crescent Lake. I'll be very, very interested to see what the play afterwards is. Ice Cave suddenly becomes more attractive, but with the whole world opened up, you are not just stuck at Crescent Lake to do your initial level grinding.
Now Philes will get that floater for himself. 15 minutes early is really early for getting the floater. And for everyone who's a completionist that wants to finish out the whole marsh cave the first time you're here, this is exactly the argument in your favor. So for my personal taste, if I found myself in their shoes, I would wonder what happened to mine. And then I would head to Melmon next, always check the magic shop. Then I would go over and pick up the airship.
So I think I saw your shoes hanging from a telephone pole. I don't know how you're going to get those down, but good luck.
No, they're too big for somebody to get up there. Oh, werewolves with blaze! Miaut, betrayed by the Rururus. He's not wiped yet. Can he get the nuke off in time? And is it enough? It is, but 2 of his people down.
Yeah, and that's a bit of a setback. That's only one of the 2 characters do you really want to get all of this experience, and Miaut at level 10 right now. So he's got to hope not to run into this group again on the way out. They are significantly rarer on the upper floors than they are on the lowest floor, though.
Czar pointing out in chat that they could be trouble in Earth, but I think by the time we see Earth Cave, their levels are going to be high enough. They're not worried about Blaze anymore. Asked in chat if there's no Phoenix Downs in FF1. That is correct. The only thing we have in FF1 is clinics in most of the towns, and there are Life and Life 2 spells, but so far unlearnable by the Red Mage. And by the way, you can only use them out of battle.
I mean, you can use them in battle, they just don't do anything. I have learned that the hard way.
Well, hey, they had to learn how to do things for the rest of the series. Oh yeah, by the way, werewolves are on the world map, so you still gotta worry about that blaze. I guess we should run through what you can do in battle. You can use the heals, you can use the pures, you cannot use softs, and you cannot restore life. How about this choice? Do you get Light 3? Philes does get the Light 3 instead of the Ice 2.
And I think that'll play better in Sea Shrine rather than Volcano. He probably expects he'll have enough nuke charges to just charge through Volcano. And to be fair, that is a little bit shorter of a dungeon. It's probably longer tile-wise if you're just looking at the path down through Kraken, but at the same time, half those tiles are lava tiles, so you don't actually get any encounters on them.
Okay, so something just happened, and I think Miaut was unhappy with his spell choices, so he reset, not realizing that was all the way back by the marsh cave.
Now, that's going to cost him about a minute, but bad spell choices could cost you way more than that. If he didn't have access to Temper, that would certainly be a consideration.
So as far as major items that we must find go, Crab, Crown, and Slab are the ones that are still sitting out there. If you find a crab in Final Fantasy 1, do let me know, and tell me if it's tasty.
I mean, if I find any crab, I'm keeping it to myself, but that's just because I'm shellfish.
But I'm bummed. Okay, so Miaut now has had his second chance to get spells, and hopefully is a little happier. We hand the TNT over to Narek, who opens up the canal, which lets us sail the ship out of the starting area. And looks like Philes will be the first to get to whatever his next destination is. Like I said, I would usually go Melmon first, because even if I can't afford the spells and the armor, I usually like to know what's there to see if it's something I want to come back to.
I think Philes has enough money to buy us at least one spell at the low end, so this is worth checking out, and I think that's why he's taking encounters on the way in.
Cure 2, probably the highlight on the white magic side. Warp for black magic is a very useful spell.
Oh, and he is one... Yeah, he's about 250 gold short, but if he dumps one of his items, he'll be fine.
Did he sell the wizard staff?
He did, so I'm assuming he feels like if you're going to do the solo black belt grind, then just punching carry rather than using the wizard staff is probably the way to go. Now we'll see if he decides to sell other things, because that pro ring is really nice to have.
Worthy of noting, and he'll be able to come back here with the airship later on, so when he has the money, he will be able to fully deck out his party with those pro rings.
Yeah, and I guess I should go into more detail about this, the pro ring. It's significant because it protects against death element, which has a lot of instant death one-hit KO spells. And you can use every little bit of elemental protection you can get your hands on if you're doing a black belt grind. It just makes the process safer.
Boy, Philes ran from the Blue Pirates. I would have really liked that fight. That would have been some really good early gold.
I would have liked it before Melman, but I think on the way to Crescent Lake, you've already committed to doing some leveling. Looks like Miaut's going to sell the Dragon Sword and pick up that pro ring. So if it happens that something in the volcano has, or Ice Cave has instant death, Miaut has protection against it.
First look at the Peds, and it looks like they are under 200 HP, so if that's the first encounter after a hard reset, that could be an interesting option.
Yeah, and I think that would convince Philes to level high enough to get a warp charge so he can get through the volcano a little bit quicker.
Well, oh, by the way, it's a good time to mention that Ice Cave is incentivized under these flags. So, you don't necessarily have to go to Volcano considering you can get the airship. But he will stock up on the heal potions, which is what you want to do when you're committed to the grind. You will need them.
Yeah, and it's a very good thing that he found them in Crescent Lake. I have had plenty of grinds derailed by not having the full amount of heal potions before a volcano dive, and there's no guarantee that they will be sold here.
Yeah, there is at least one shop in the item shop in the game that will not sell heals, and I think it's 2, but I'm not positive. That, of course, being because there is the Oasis bottle shop in the mix, which didn't sell any kind of items, so there is always one shop in the game that gets shuffled to not having heals for sale. And Philes is just trying to get down and get his airship here. Can a man just get his airship? Well, okay, for Pete, he's probably alright with this.
Yeah, and I think he was trying to manipulate for them. Peds a lot more lucrative on the experience, and Giants are very lucrative on the money end, though.
And Miaut is doing the hard reset strats. So do you want to explain why they're doing the full power off reset?
The full power off reset is useful if you want to skip encounters altogether. And it looks like Miaut is electing to just not take any fights on the way to the floater. Philes was using it to sort of manipulate what encounter groups he saw.
So next stop for Miaut is the Cardia Islands, where there's a bunch of treasure chests being handed over to you by some friendly dragons.
Yeah, and I anticipate Philes will be headed directly to pick up the rod.
There is the crown, one of our 2 missing Go Mode items. So now it's just down to the slab.
Oh, this is very interesting. I think both runners will close out this routing by going to get the crown chest.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to do when you've got the airship, so it would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, and equipment-wise, neither one is in particularly great shape. So if they find a ribbon, that's fantastic. But even if they don't, items like the black shirt, the power gauntlet, maybe one of the 4 pro rings, or a nice sword, all of them can help make the grind much quicker.
Just found the Vorpal sword in Titan's Cave, which would probably be the best sword we found so far.
Unfortunately, requires class change to use, so unless they find the tail, that's going to be collecting dust.
Well, to be fair, if they find the tail, they're still going to collect dust because you're not going to class change before you grind the black belt. I was attempting to form a coherent thought in there. The black belt will gain more magic defense per level than the master will. So if you're going to grind him for 40 levels, then you want him to get all that magic defense as the black belt before you class change.
Yeah, and it's very important to do it in the right order because the master gains only one, and that is an incredibly low amount, even in comparison to the other classes.
So now both runners have the crown. And they're on pretty equal footing, even though they've gone different routes to get here.
And so I think Miaut is about ready to fly over to the kindly old king who's been looking for his crown the entire time.
He's not kindly, he's king of the bats.
Well, I mean, they're nice bats. They're not... Oh my god, it's Astos! We should have known!
Well, he goes away.
Meanwhile, Philes doing some dance maneuvers in front of Astos.
Well, it's king. He just wanted to put on a show. He wanted to be polite.
And both of our runners are basically in lockstep with each other, so this is very interesting.
Now, it makes sense with what we've seen so far. You had the airship, so you were going to check the Cardia Islands chests. You found the crown, so it makes sense to go through this and get the key. After they finished getting the key, that's when I think it's going to get really interesting, because then the whole world is open to you and wherever you go with it. I say the whole world and I lie, because they won't actually be able to get to Mirage Tower yet. It just makes sense, since you're here, you might as well check the treasure chests at Elfland.
Yeah, and this offers a lot of opportunity for route divergence. You can check incentivized ice cave, you can do sea early, or you can do volcano as is tradition.
A good question in chat. If this is a modified version, how are they able to walk so quick? Anybody who is used to vanilla Final Fantasy will notice that we're moving at a considerably better pace. And the short answer is there's a lot of conveniences in the randomizer. Check it out on the Discord for a full explanation. But in short, you get to walk the world map with the dash button that moves as... Is it as fast as the ship?
I believe that's right.
Yeah. So about double speed.
And this is high fives all the way. In fact, this may be less high fives and more of holding hands as they check all of these dwarf cave chests.
Almost in lockstep. Did I see an ice sword in there?
I believe it was a rune sword. So at least the thief will have something to do. Mountain Philes case. He's out. Rune sword not good enough for Miaut either. I see how it is. Nobody likes those thief weapons.
Okay, random question for chat. How many of you have ever talked to the Invisible Woman? I would like to know the answer to that question. How many people have ever taken the time to find and talk to the Invisible Woman? Meanwhile, we got the black shirt, which is a nice pickup. And the flame armor will be an improvement for now. Okay, good to know. We have a bunch of proper Final Fantasy fans who have talked to the Invisible One. Oh, and a ribbon here in Temple of Fiends.
And I was curious if people were going to check this chest or not. As it turns out, Miaut made a beeline for it, and it's going to pay off.
Yeah, I think you can make a case for not checking it if you're walking, although I usually just use save strats for that. But when you've got the airship, you can land right there, and it's 2 ribbons even. So our runners will be very happy for that. How about that? 2 ribbons in the 3 chests at Temple of Fiends.
And I mean, that's why you check as many of the so-called free chests as you can before going into a level grind.
It's great magic defense, great status defense. Just one of the best items they could find, and they got 2 of them that easy. And Miaut is going to the ice cave. Did he get warp?
I think he has 1 charge of it. He's likely going to have to take out an encounter group on the top floor. No, this is very interesting. I think I would level enough in this top hallway in order to get a warp charge before going down. But I guess that's not a tremendous amount of time saving if you are planning on doing the eye grind anyway.
This is true, although you can kind of reverse the strategy and get to the eye faster. Just do it from the in front of the chest instead of behind it. And Philes has gone to Volcano. We officially have a route divergence. Okay, question, which round is this and who's ahead? So to deal with both of those questions, this is played under 3rd round rules, 3rd round flags of the tournament. This is the Garland bracket, so it is a single elimination match. As for who's ahead, well, that's going to depend on what they find. And it's worth noting that Miaut is going for an incentivized chest. Now, that does not mean it will be one of the required items, but it's more likely to be than any other chest in the game, so there's a lot of sense in checking it.
Especially having seen 2 ribbons, it increases the probability that that's going to be the progression item you're looking for by quite a bit.
Fires have poison, so they will not be grind friendly today.
They might not be terrible. Poison with a ribbon does about as much damage as a fire does just punching you.
But he does have the thief down, so if he was thinking 3-man strategy, now you have that going for you.
Yeah,
They've
and
already
I think
done the work.
Yeah, and I think that's
Well, he reset. It was just gold in the treasure chest. He said not good enough, and he reset.
Yeah, and I don't think he has warp charges either, so this is definitely going to save him time, even though he gained a level.
So just to talk about what the incentive treasure chest means. The possibilities are ribbon, moss immune, adamant, ruby, and am I forgetting anything?
Slab.
That's still an option. And the slab.
Tail as well.
This is true. We have not seen the tail either.
And looks like Philes is not going to survey the Grey Wardens to find out how durable they are. And Philes finds a cap.
And he found the dragon armor. The dragon armor not useful until class change, but very useful once you have it.
Providing resistance. Ooh, an Aegis shield in Ice Cave. So between Volcano and Ice Cave, you'll find the whole set.
And wraiths have thunder.
wow. And it really doesn't matter if you have a ribbon if you get hit with it 3 or 4 times. So Miaut just has to hope for the nuke, and that's a wipe.
Yeah, now it looks like he's going to go back to maybe grinding the first floor here. Oh, and Gay's in this fight as well. This is just full of fun. Wonder if that won't cause him maybe after 1 or 2 more tries to go down to Volcano instead. But you have to figure his play here is based on the assumption that Philes is not going to come to ice first, so his advantage only works is if he actually clears ice and gets something valuable for it.
It also depends on the type of routing that your opponent does as well. Miaut knows that Philes likes to gamble. So Philes, out of most of the runners, I would say, in our FFR community, has the least predictable routing. But I think having an early floater and having a lot of options open to you, that Volcano into Ice Cave seems like a very, very solid play. And that's what I would be expecting my opponent to do.
Yeah, there's no incentivized chest in Volcano, but it has the advantage of 1 is required. You're going to have to go through here to restore the orb anyways. And there's several spots that are potentially very good grinding spots for levels. And there's the slab in Volcano, so whatever is in Ice Cave, it will not be that. This means that technically Philes is in go mode.
Yeah, and so with 2 ribbons, all Philes really needs to do is pick up enough levels where he feels comfortable finishing the game out, and he can just go right to the end.
And that could also mean no class change, because the amount of chests you're going to check, the odds of tail are going to be low. But I also figure at this point, this means he's probably not going to Ice Cave. Because I can't really imagine why you would. Unless you really want Masamune for some reason.
Yeah, I think Philes is going to continue checking the rest of the chests in this dungeon on the hopes that he finds a white shirt or a power gauntlet. And if he doesn't find any of those, finish out his grind. The only way I could see Philes going into Ice Cave is if everything else in the Volcano is so terrible as far as grinding goes that you just have to leave.
Yeah, no, we're still looking for 2 key locations to find out what he might grind against. There is, of course, the traditional Agma spot, which is going to be this room right here, and the other is the Red Dragon, which is actually the room I go to first, personally. Oh, he's shaving the life before he even checked the fight! Or did he already fight an Agma before now and I just missed it?
I don't think he fought an Agama. So I think he doesn't mind if the thief takes an early nap, but this could be pretty disastrous for Philes. Although he hasn't found very much in the way of quality equipment coming through. So even if he does wipe, he does not lose very much time.
Chat says he did fight 1 before, so that does make a difference if you've seen 1 versus seeing none. But the other thing about this is typically you're going to check the Red Dragon chest anyways. The Bane Sword. This is a nice little find, makes me happy. I like to go to the Red Dragon with my full party before I decide on whether or not I'm going to grind down here. Just because I'm gonna check that anyways, so make it safer with the whole party, and it might be easier.
I agree with you normally, but Philes has no need to check that chest. if Agamas turn out to be grindable. He's in go mode, and he has 2 ribbons.
That is a great point. So the only difference there would be if Red Dragon is easier to grind than the Agmas.
Yeah, but otherwise I totally agree with you. If the Red Dragon has something very unpleasant, it's better to find out with your whole party than with just one person.
Yeah, in particular, that the Death Touch and the Stone Touch.
Especially if you don't have a ribbon.
Yeah, it does look like these Agmas are pretty low HP, though, and we haven't seen them do anything nasty yet, so that makes sense, then. And I assume at this point he will skip the Agman chest, the Red Dragon chest. You talked me into it.
And at this point, he's probably a little frustrated that his thief keeps getting experience, but I think it's a little forgivable to get him to about level 16. After that, it's a significantly... you don't want him to get many more levels than that. In fact, I don't think you want him to get any more levels than that.
He's gonna move Hat up. So the reason for doing that is your people in the front 2 spots are more likely to get targeted by the enemy, and he wants the Agmas to kill off his people. Miaut, meanwhile, is clearing out all the chests in Ice Cave. What do you think the best find for him at this point would be?
Chat mentioned that Mass Moon would probably be the best find for him, and I'm kind of inclined to agree, because that gives me out the option of not leveling and taking a fighter party in. That being said, I think the fighter party doesn't feel like a great choice with only 1 mage, although finding the white shirt is certainly helpful.
White shirt's a good pickup. I'll actually disagree slightly. I think the tail would be the ideal item here because it'd give you access to more magic with your red mage. I don't think it's going to be that different for the black belt, but the support magic could make a difference. And for the time he's going to lose to Philes being in go mode, I think that gives him the best potential to maybe make some up along the way.
And we have Philes with the Bane strats paying off.
Question in chat, what do you need for go mode? Now there's NPC items that you need, but those are not randomized. So we're talking about chests that are randomized. You have to find the TNT as your first item, you have to find the floater, you have to find the slab, and you have to find the crown. So Philes has found all of those. Miaut is still in search of the crown. Which we have learned is in Volcano. Have you ever seen an Agma grind with a black belt and the black belt wasn't punching?
No, but this is a significantly more efficient way of doing it. Black belt does not have level 21 yet.
The reason level 21 is significant is...
That is when the black belt goes from 4 tiny hits to 6 very, very large hits.
There you go. Taking the setup and hitting it out of the park. So by the way, if Miaut was thinking about grinding the black belt here in Ice Cave, that is officially off the table. And he, having not checked the eye treasure chest yet, still has 4 to look at.
Yeah, and
light axe is nothing to sneeze at.
He's really hoping to find a good weapon here, or the slab.
And just to double back on my point, any item that involves an NPC handing it to you, so you think Sarah with the loot, you think the king with the bridge, the pirates with the boat, any item that involves talking to an NPC, those are not going to be randomized. It's only the treasure chests. For now. Well, looks like this eye is paper. So would you grind the fighter here, or just get out of here with the adamant? Now, what do we find? Oh, he reset. He didn't even walk that out. Oh, that means he loses the white shirt, too. So, he knows the slab wasn't here, which was bad news for him.
Yeah, at this point, he probably feels like he's behind, and resetting rather than walking out is the only way he can gain some time back.
You know, I'm thinking through that play, and here's the biggest thought in my mind, is that takes Excalibur off the table. And you can't take for granted you're going to find Masamune. In fact, we know they're probably not going to find it. So, I'm not sure about giving up that time versus giving up Excalibur possibilities.
If he's giving up that time, then I think he's committing to the black belt grind here.
And it does make sense. And it's pretty well without question that Philes is ahead right now. Philes is much deeper into this grind. Miaut hasn't even gotten there yet. He hasn't found the slab yet, and he's got the same dungeon to go through.
Yeah, the only question is, where does Miaut stop the grind in relation to Philes?
Question in chat, why only the one character? Well, the reason is because the total experience that the enemy party gives you is divided by every person in your party who's alive. So having just one person alive, they're going to get 4 times the experience from this fight that they would if there was a full party up, which is how you can get this black belt to a much higher level, like 32 or 40, in a reasonable amount of time. Because if you were trying to do that for the whole party at once, this would take forever. Not actually forever, just an insanely long amount of time. He's level 29 now. The first possible target level is 32, and again, that's based on number of hits the black belt does. He would go from 6 to 8. Another of the possible targets is level 40 because of how it influences enemies running away from you, and then 42 would be the next set of hits after that. So, 3 possible targets here.
Yeah, so out of all of those, 42 is the safest. You have the largest likelihood of things running away from you, and you get 10 hits, which will allow you to obliterate anything that stands in your way. 32 is nice because it does 8 hits worth of damage, and that's enough to clear out most everything that you'll run into before Temple of Fiends. 40 is kind of a compromise between the two. You'll get enemies that run away from you at a very high clip, and even though you don't have 10 hits, you will get 10 hits by the time you really need it, which is Temple of Fiends. And level 40 Black Belt still does an absurd amount of damage.
Yeah, also gets the benefit of the stats and the magic defense we were talking about earlier, so I will not attempt to read Philes' mind or predict what's in there, but those are the targets we're looking at.
My suspicion is maybe 38 or up.
Here's level 32. Now, even at 38, you're probably going to get enough experience from the unrunnable fights that by the time you get to the top levels of Temple of Fiends, if you're not 42, you're probably very close.
I have tried 38 a couple of times, and it seems to work out about 50-50. Half of the time I'll make it, and half of the time I'll be 41 going into the Chaos fight and being very angry. 39 is kind of a most of the time, and 40 is almost guaranteed. In fact, I think leveling to 40, I've never missed the 42 target before getting through the water floor.
And Miaut has just found the slab at 55 minutes. And now he's gonna skip his way down here. This is the Agma room. He finds Wizard Ogres, which could be handy for lowering his thief, but he kills them off.
Yeah, Praxia makes a good point, dealing with unrunnable rates. If you think you're going to be in go mode through the rest of this match, then you probably want to err on the higher side of leveling. If I had to, say, Folklore Sea Shrine after this, then 38 would probably be pretty good, given how many times I'm going to run into ghosts and wizard sea hags.
And there's still a couple other potential locations he could get experience if he really wants to, but it's just easier to do it now with that black belt by himself. Up to 36 now, and Miaut is going to get in here against the Agmas. So this was a very early go mode, and the byproduct of that is going to be when this grind is done, you're going to see them move very quickly through the dungeons. I haven't timed them out how fast I can walk each of them on average or anything, but they will go quickly when you're not walking around checking treasure chests.
Another question in chat, what does the solo black belt fear down at the bottom of the volcano then? Death touch, stone touch, or something that cuts through a ribbon?
And probably would take multiple enemies that have it, because he's most likely going to go first and smash whatever has it. So ideally, you never find out. If somebody does wipe on the last floor of Volcano, there will be a pause.
Paralysis touch is something to fear, but given that both of the runners are hitting level 42, they're going to have to suffer through a long chain of paralysis. And also, Carrie's going to have to go first. So that's a 50-50 split right there. But I have definitely died to a carry with paralysis touch before, and that's not a fun experience.
A first-time watcher, and we're glad to have you. The biggest thing that is randomized is enemy stats. So the enemies are a little bit different than what you're used to seeing in vanilla, as Philes has now hit level 40 and he's still going, so it looks like 42 is going to be his target.
Another question in chat, is paralysis the thing which is the biggest chance of spoiling Philes' lead right now? Death touch and stone touch would be worse because they would instantly kill Philes. With paralysis, he at least has a 25% chance of recovering.
Yeah, the biggest thing that would spoil the lead for Philes is if he took a wipe, and even if he did, he wouldn't be that far behind because he would only have to pick up Slab again. So our runners at this point have picked up all the items that they need to find from treasure chests to be able to complete the game. Philes has ducked out, he's done, and he's going to visit the Fiend of Fire Carrie. I think he's still at just 40. Maybe he walked up to check the other treasure chest.
I suspect that he is probably around 41 and is just punching a couple of guys on the way down, assuming he'd get a couple encounters and get to 42 that way.
Yeah, I thought I saw him only at 40 before and only take one more fight, but I could be wrong. It's happened
Oh,
before.
there's
It'll
Carrie.
happen again. And Carrie is down. We have our first orb restored.
Yep. And now Philes just needs to clear the rest of the game as quickly as possible. And I think if Miaut has any hope of catching up, he needs to stop at 32.
Which is not an unreasonable play in this round of the tournament flags, because enemy stats are not quite as high as they are in the later ones. And the higher they are, the more risk there is in stopping at 32. Although if you think that Philes is going to stop at 32, then the inverse is true, and you've got more chance to make up time at 40 than at 32. So, don't try to outthink yourself, you'll go crazy. I think coming in here, just whatever your plan was originally, stick with it. If you thought you were going to go 32 here, go 32. If you thought you were going to go 40 here, go 40. But the lead for Philes is, well, let's see. It's 101 when he flies away from Crescent Lake. We'll see what it ends up being for Miaut. Earth Cave is one of my favorites to go through while in Go mode.
Yep, and certainly feels better with a level 42 scare everything away black belt at the front of the party.
Yeah, now we're in the position where we could run into scary stuff and never know it.
Well, like the werewolves with Blaze, Philes will never find out that they have that.
And it's also always poses the interesting question of Go mode, just how many chests do you check? How convenient do they have to be? Like, Philes has already walked by one that would usually be on my list that I'd still check in Go mode, needing stuff like Power Gauntlet.
With round 3 flags, I think the 42 black belt can do this pretty much on his own. Although it'll certainly help if some bat trouble for Philes. It'll certainly help if he can find the defense sword, or maybe the power gauntlet.
We haven't talked too much about the runners so far, so your reward for winning this is you get Ice Blue in the next matchup of the Garland bracket. And everybody say hi to the vampire.
Vampire?
And everybody say bye to the vampire.
What vampire? It's just a giant pile of ash.
The vampire was guarding a pure. He just didn't want you to have that one. You have to live with the 50 you got. Oh, so Miaut, to get in this race, he was able to get past Bratster, Czar, and Azrael Ravenheart. He lost in the last round of the winner's bracket to Will Bloodworth, who is playing someone you might have heard of. Meanwhile, Philes beat Azrael Ravenheart, DD Gaming's, and Show to get here, and he lost to somebody you may have heard of. So anyways, we continue through the Earth Cave.
And, yeah, Philes is in 100% go mode. He is not checking any of the greed chests I typically see him check, although it looks like we have a brave wizard that is going to regret his decision to stick around here.
Well, he had his chance. Obviously, he just didn't think survival was important.
It's alright. I'm sure the other two wizards will... the other wizard that got away will tell all of the other wizards what an idiot those two guys were.
And we're about to get our first look at the Fiend of Earth. I assume we can say hi to Lich now. Oh, there he is. A little bit of PowerPoint mode.
And we can say goodbye to Lich. On the next slide, we see 736 damage.
Question in chat, what does Cube give access to? Cube lets you go from the Mirage Tower to the Sky Castle. Get past the Blue Dragon, there's that teleporter there. It will not work unless you have the Cube.
Alright, and Philes smartly saving outside of the Earth Cave, as there is a very common 7 Shadow encounter. And pro rings for everyone.
I don't think we found the gold bracelets anywhere, but they will probably be in one of the 2 remaining armor shops, and since we're there anyways, you might see a couple pickups there.
Yeah, I'm sure he really wants the gold bracelets because he has found not much spectacular in the way of armor other than the, I believe it's the flame armor.
So right now we're sitting at 5 minutes since Philes left Crescent Lake in Go mode, and he already full cleared the Earth Cave. That is the difference in being in Go mode.
Now, Philes is also going to save a little bit of time here. During the crown chests, he picked up the bottle, since he opened the chest first, picked up all the gold, and used that to buy that progression item.
And there's our gold bracelets.
And we have 100 bits from Maya, so thank you for that. Much appreciated.
So we're an hour in. Let's run through some things. First of all, answering chat's question, what are the gold bracelets for? They are good armor. They're decent absorb and very good on the evade side. They're equipable by mages. So pretty much the best armor he's going to have access to for the rest of the game. Our item, well, let's start with forced classes. They were forced to bring a fighter and a thief into their parties. For items, we found TNT in the north of Marsh. In case you had thoughts about leaving Marsh, Floater was on the bottom floor. We had Crown in the Cardia Islands, which they were able to find pretty quickly. The Temple of Fiends in the locked treasure chests had 2 ribbons. Dragon Armor and Aegis Shield aren't going to be very important since we're not seeing class change. Slab was here in the Volcano. White Shirt and Adamant were in Ice Cave. Miaut found them and reset and lost them. And Philes has been in Go mode since about 1 hour, 1 minute when he left Crescent Lake. He has already cleared the Earth Cave and now is heading on to the waterfall as Miaut continues the grind against the Agmas. And that's pretty much where we are so far. Also a good time to mention thanks to Fiesel for being such a great partner of the tournament and hosting us here on Speed Gaming. Hey chat, how about a round of thanks Fiesels in chat? Poor Fiesel has had to listen to me 3 times today. I did 2 Legend of Zelda randomizer tournaments earlier, now I'm doing this. So the Waterfall Cave, a nice little 1-floor dungeon. A bit of a maze, but once you know the way, it's really easy.
And he also has Warp. So in the level 5 slot, not many casts of it, but just enough to get him out.
You only need the 1 to get out of here. Miaut has left the grind and is now going into carry. I didn't see quite what he got to, but I think with his levels he'd be at 40. With the time spent, I think he would be around 40. He's got 8 hits.
And Carey
He's
has
42
8
with
hits
that.
too, but is not going to get to show him off, because that is a crushing blow from the level 42 black belt.
And the ruby was here in the waterfall. Oh, that's the power gauntlet! Oh my, it couldn't have been in many places that you were still going to find it. But
Yeah,
that
and
was one of them.
I anticipated he was going to find that either there, and good, he actually picked the cube up too. I was getting a little nervous about that.
So the power gauntlet, the reason we're reacting to that, if you're new to the Final Fantasy Randomizer tournament, never realized this, power gauntlet will boost the attack and accuracy of the person who uses it. So you'll see that sticking in the black belt's inventory, which might get a lot of use against a high evade fiend, or high absorb, or both. Philes now is going through the waterfall, and the Gersharks have trance.
That's gonna be pretty ugly on the old water floor.
So we have my two favorite places to be in Go mode on display right now. Water and Earth. I'll take Go mode Water over Go mode Sky Castle any day. But that's me. The black shirt gives him a free cast of ice too, so it's useful, but not the most useful thing against here. Nuke, however, very useful. Just to clarify, Will, if I understand your question correctly, are you asking how much time you save by skipping Marsh Cave?
No, there's a discussion in chat going on about do you go straight into Marsh Cave as opposed to checking Dwarf Cave first? Because if you haven't found TNT by the time you check Matoya's and Temple of Fiends, it's 2 chests versus 10 in a pool of 12 chests. So it's very, very likely that it's going to be in Marsh Cave if you haven't seen it yet, but there's also the very large time investment you have of clearing clearing Marsh Cave when you don't have to.
And this might be the last room that Philes checks for treasures. And he won't even take the fight against the Gersharks knowing they have trance.
Although another consideration to whether you check one or the other may be how much money you have access to.
So obviously with the 42 black belt, it'll carry you pretty far, and you've got to have a lot of faith in it. But are you worried at all about the levels for the rest of your party, which for some of them are pretty low?
I think for the Red Mage is probably the one I'm the most worried about. Because if the Red Mage dies, then all of the support magic also dies. So keeping the Red Mage alive through the water floor is of critical importance, because no one else is going to get through that 6 water fight quicker than a Red Mage nuking them down.
And he's not going to get the white shirt because we know it's an ice cave, and there's no circumstances he's going to ice cave that I can imagine. So his only defensive spells are going to come from that red mage. So Miaut has finished in Earth Cave. And restocking on heals, I guess. Oh, no, getting bottle.
Another question in chat. The rules for the final says full forced party. What are they going to be? We don't know yet. The parties are forced before the game starts, so it could be it's a choice of 4 random party members out of the pool of 6 possible classes, and duplicates are allowed.
So for anyone who may not be familiar with it, these races start in an IRC channel, which is what actually will roll the seed. It's not somebody sitting here as a human that says, oh, let's do this seed. It is a bot that rolls the seed, and it's also a bot that rolls the classes. We give it an input, and then it randomly decides which one it's going to be. So that's how we get our forced classes. It looks like Miaut is going to go ahead and go for the chime, which is an interesting decision for not having the cube yet. Now, I don't know which camp Miaut falls into, but there is a school of thought that says, even in Go mode, check the first and second floors of the Mirage Tower, because there's so many chests available right there. Especially if you can warp out of it so it's a quick exit.
I think that would be what both runners would do if they only had 1 ribbon, but with 2, there's no need to check any chests.
And for the record, I do agree with you. I just like presenting different arguments.
No, and I'm totally with you on that. The situation is not going to be exactly the same every time we go through. That's what makes this randomizer so great. So it's useful to think about it, even in situations where this is a pretty straightforward go mode to the end.
So this is a very straightforward move for Philes. He did pick up the cube from the waterfall. He'll go into the Mirage Tower and full clear this. He's going in at 118. And it just dawned on me that I meant to time when Miaut finished the volcano, and I didn't, so shame on me for forgetting. But we can see the difference already in that Miaut has the 2 orbs, and Philes is going to have his 4th within minutes now. Chat saying it was about 111 that Miaut left, and it would actually be closer to 120 apples to apples because I was timing when Philes left Crescent Lake.
The Philes getting bad ambush luck.
But that would put it at about a 10-minute difference between the 2 runners when they came through Volcano with their leveled black belts. And that's the difference in going to Ice Cave first versus Philes going to Volcano.
Another question in chat. What is the easiest randomized game to get into speedrunning? That is a question that is kind of up to the individual that's looking to start speedrunning a game. If learning a large body of knowledge is not what you would like to do, then maybe Final Fantasy might be a little harder. If you favor more of execution-based games, something like Link to the Past is probably the way to go. But the most important thing is play a randomizer of a game that you love and enjoy, because that's going to make the rest of the process just that much easier.
It really is. I mean, just think about it. If you want to do a lot of racing of Randomizer, you're talking about hundreds of hours becoming thousands of hours of playing and seeing and competing in this Randomizer. So you better enjoy the core game or it's going to be difficult. Miaut checks for out of bounds bat, and Philes is on the bridge of Warmac. Oh! Miaut warped without checking the treasure chests. He will be without the power gauntlet.
And I don't really blame Miaut here. If he feels like he's behind, he has enough items at this point to finish the game. He just really needs to shave off as much time as possible and just hope that those chests don't have anything in them.
The other interesting thing I have found about the randomizers I have played is it is amazing how much you will learn about a game that never occurred to you, that never would have been important were you not playing it in randomizer.
Yeah, and just as an example of that, most runners of Final Fantasy did not realize that Sea Shrine and Temple of Fiends Revisited had locked doors until the randomizer came out.
That is a really good example. Oh, by the way, Break worked on Tiamat, so bye-bye Tiamat. And all 4 orbs restored for Philes.
Alright, Philes flashing the GPS. I guess he was running and then decided to switch his party order, and I have been there.
So the next interesting time interval is going to be what time do they actually enter Temple of Fiends. It looks like it's going to be 1:22 for Philes. And if Miaut is on the same pace, it'll be about a 1:32, 1:33 entry. If he gets under that, he's made up a little bit of time.
And Miaut is also skipping the typical greed chests in this hallway as well, so he is just hoping that those those treasure chests contain no useful items.
Philes gonna go for the validation chests. Just gold. Of course it's just gold.
And Philes probably feeling pretty good about one-shotting Phantom. Phantom has a very, very bad habit of one-shotting the more brittle party members.
Frost Giant with the Frost Wolves is an unrunnable encounter. And that can be one of the biggest things about this Temple of Fiends is how many of these unrunnable encounters do you get and how tough are they? And how many are they? Because obviously if it's just one thing to punch, then you have an expert at punching one thing. If it's 9 things, then it takes a while to punch through 9 things. Or these 4 zombie dragons, it takes a while to punch through them.
And meanwhile, it looks like Philes is going to have to bust through these formations with a fighter using the dragon sword.
Oh, Cure 4 on the zombie dragons! That's something you don't see every day.
Courtesy of the fighter enemy, and Looks like Philes is just gonna take this out. Ooh,
Oh my.
oh, well.
And by the
That
way, no life spell.
he needs elects to run with the red mage. He's very lucky that his red mage survived that. I think the thief is an acceptable loss, but the red mage probably would have been a reset.
This could be even worse for Miaut. But doesn't mean he'll get the same encounter, doesn't mean he'll get the same results in it.
That's not. This floor is not the last that we've seen of the zombie Ds either. Through a ribbon, glare hits.
That's just not nice.
So this is.
Did anybody think this was going to be a free temple?
Well, I mean, it's the seed has seemed to be relatively free up to this point. It's proving to be otherwise as we continue here.
By the way, I think that's a bit of a frustration move for Philes. He reset on the gas dragon, so we haven't seen yet. So you don't actually know that they're trolly, you just know they're unrunnable. Now he's got 3 of them, and he is going to fight them.
Electing to bane the gas dragons rather than throwing out the black shirt, and he did not move the dragon sword over before this fight. Looks like they have a pretty hefty attack stat and non-trivial evade as well, and yeah, he's just gonna let the black belt clean this up.
Yeah, see, now with this knowledge, it justified me to reset. But I think that first one was maybe just a touch of frustration leaking through, but he's a good runner, and he's going to get back into this. You got to shake off bad luck and move on.
Yeah, but that has let Miaut catch up. He is already in the wraparound maze.
Yeah, but Miaut realistically needs another 1 or 2 of those to really slow Philes down. Let's see, Philes went in here at 122 originally, so this is only 5 minutes deep so far.
Question in chat, X4 works for enemies. Yes, it works if it's cast on you. And we have a Wormex sighting on Miaut's side.
And he's got Nuke! And it wreaks havoc.
Well, now.
But not against the Black Belt. But he's got over 700 HP. Hey chat, let's get some emotes to appreciate the fact Miaut is taking this fight, as we see Wormek also has crack.
Oh, okay.
Just, oh, by the way, Nuke wasn't enough. He added crack behind that.
And the thief is petrified. And looks like Philes is going to bring him back up. I guess he could use his running away skill on the next couple of floors.
Based on what he's seen, I might put the thief back in the first spot.
I think that is an entirely defendable decision. Although against the slimes, the thief was already dead.
It's a double Wormek!
Oh no.
And it just wiped the red mage.
So, that's a lot of experience. He has non-trivially high evade.
And
zap.
And we know crack is there, but he gets by it. How much experience was that? 32,000?
Yeah, that's a lot.
I mean, what else do you say? And by the way, Miaut fought that second one knowing that he had Nuke and crack. The zap was a surprise.
I mean, with the ribbon and about 800 health, you're not too worried about getting wiped out, but all that can go through a ribbon.
And level 45 for the black belt as he easily takes care of Tiamat. And that wasn't a situation where I was worried about him finishing the dungeon, but it does mean more time invested in that.
Meanwhile, the designated runner gets paralyzed on Philes' side, and hey, how about some more unrunnables?
Ooh, red mage is low health. One shot to that red mage. I wouldn't reset over it, but it would be unpleasant.
Yeah, and Philes doesn't want to take any chances. He's going to throw a nuke charge out.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, and now we'll get to see if he's going to continue this. This is going to get real ugly on the water floor. But it's still doable with the party composition he has, thanks to the black shirt, but...
Oh, Philes. I wonder if he had that ready or if he did it real fast. I imagine he had it ready. Okay, 131, Miaut enters Temple of Fiends. So that was 9 minutes behind Philes' entry. And about 4 minutes behind Philes' 5 minutes behind Philes' re-entry. And everybody say hi, Lich.
Lich having one of the multitudes of garbage lit 2s, and do we know if Philes moved that ribbon over?
Well, he will have now.
There we go.
No reason not to update your equipment. Bunch of red dragons. We never got to see what they had, and we still won't.
Adios. Meanwhile, it looks like those are some bad men that are punching me out right now.
Here is Carrie. And there goes Carrie. I was wondering the other day, how many times do you think Lich has rolled up with nuke and nuclear, real trolly skill set, but you just punched him and he was dead, so you never knew it?
That's kind of one of the things that I hope for. Let's pack in all of the nasty stuff behind that lit 2 so I don't ever have to see it. And these bad men are still giving Miaut the business. One nuke was not enough to clear all of them out. And there's a giant EXP pinata right before. And here's the water fight. Black shirt strats.
If he had gotten through this without a water fight, that just would have been ridiculous. Miaut has lost a party member. Just the thief.
Yeah, Philes is also running very low on healing resources.
Yeah, without the red mage and no class change, he's down to just the potions he came in with, which, by the way, I think he did stock up in Corneria before he came in here, so good decision. Fallback strats.
He did, but a solo black belt can take an awful lot of damage depending on the encounters he runs into on the air floor. And don't forget, there's zombie dragons on that floor too.
Something Miaut has not seen the horrors of just yet.
I'm curious if Philes is even going to bother healing the fighter all the way. Or if he's just going to heal him enough to take... Yeah, he's going to invest the potions into healing him all the way. I'm not sure I agree with this.
Can understand it going into this fight. Because you might need the extra meat shield just to be able to get through this.
Yeah, but I think if you just level him up to, or heal him up to about 200 or so, I think Kraken is just going to murder that fighter if he gets hit anyway.
Well, he takes care of business with the thief.
Alright, well now the shirt rack has a little bit more armor.
It looks like he had some pretty decent absorb, but Philes able to get past there. And one more floor, separating you from the final boss.
Yeah, and he needs to move the equipment the thief had now.
Not sure how much he did have, though. There are 2 ribbons, so they should be on these 2 party members now.
Yeah, but if he had run into another water group without the black shirt in a usable character's hands, that would have been very bad for Philes.
And Tiamat hit pretty good there. Ooh, Tiamat has some absorb.
Oh, this could be bad. Lit 3, good to see.
Now Philes is needing to hope that Tiamat has low HP, or this could be bad.
I think it's not just Tiamat having low HP, I think Chaos needs low HP as well.
Well, the quadruple X is probably safer than a hit from Tiamat.
Oh, he's absolutely thrilled to see that. He's probably hoping he goes first.
There it is. So you leveled up the black belt in hopes that the black belt could carry you through Temple of Fiends. This is not quite what you had in mind, but this is the hand you're dealt.
Yeah, and he gets about 300 more health to play with, and that's it.
And could still get a fight out of here. There it is.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was going to bother moving that. This is... If he fails to run here, this is pretty much over. In fact,
he
I
got
think
out with
pretty
100
much
hit
over
points. And he's got, I believe, 600 hit points worth of heal potions there. So this has really opened the door for Miaut, who is down his fighter. So that could be very bad. Oh, and he took the wipe against Chaos.
So, back in, and this is the danger of not having access to a life spell.
So Miaut is now actually deeper in Temple of Fiends than Philes. It's a race, folks! See, chat has caught on that I like to timestamp things so that I get more information. And they're timestamping the re-entry for me, which I just had quietly typed out already. Miaut is on the water floor. And here's where things get unpleasant, because we know this is not a fun Kraken fight, nor is it going to be a fun Tiamat fight. But he will use the Invis too, which is not something we saw out of Philes, actually. Well, the red mage was dead, so he couldn't. And Ice 2 and Ice 2. This Kraken is being nice so far. And giving him plenty of time to do the Invis 2 strats.
And follows up with Stop, and this ought to do it. Nope, one more turn.
And remember that Miaut did not pick up the power gauntlet, so any help that that black belt gets is going to come from spells from the red mage. Miaut gets the fight that wrecked Philes, and it wrecks his red mage.
Oh, this could be real bad if he fails to run here. How much is he has significantly more heal potions, so the Tiamat fight is gonna hurt.
Yeah,
But if he
Miaut
can
suffered.
get through it though.
Miaut kept the red mage alive. Philes, on his trek up here, suffered from losing the red major, so had to rely on those heal potions for his party. 600 damage for Miaut, and that's all he can do. He has got nothing that can help this black belt. All he can do is just hold A and hope.
He's doing significantly more damage than Philes did through his run through.
And he got Tiamat down. 140. Still probably another fight before you get off this floor. Or at least you better plan on it. And if you don't face it, just count yourself lucky.
Oh, there it is.
What an encounter, and I don't even think he knows how bad that was. So Miaut to the top floor. Our second look at Chaos.
With significantly more health, but without the power gauntlet.
300 damage. Kraken answers. Chaos hits with about the same. There's just nothing you can do but hope for low HP on this Chaos, which up to 220%, he could have 4,000 HP. Oh, 1,000 to hit, that's it! Miaut pulls it off!
Wow, the bolt crit. It's exactly what Miaut needed.
Chat, let's spam those GGs. Spam them.
And Temple of Fiends Simulator strikes again.
I think we'll get Miaut in here shortly. Miaut has done commentary for us, so. Don't know about Philes. He might have to walk this one off. That's just a heartbreaker. His strategy really got wrecked by losing the red mage. Miaut kept his red mage alive and was able to progress through there much better. And then the black belt did the job. Miaut, good game to you, sir.
GG.
I should not have won that. I played like butts. After I was playing like I was drunk. I was going everywhere. I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I didn't think that I would be rusty because my last.
Sorry, you cut out there for a second.
Oh, okay. What was the last thing I said?
You didn't think you would be rusty, and then that was it.
Oh yeah, I didn't think that I would be rusty because my last race was last week, I think, and I haven't played any of FR because of school and exams. So I said, no, I don't need to practice. I mean, I just did a race and I played like complete butts. I should not. I don't feel like I should have won that. Especially after going to Ice Cave and wiping so many times and finding out that the slab was in Volcano. I thought if Philes went to Volcano first, I'm done. I am done.
Philes was able to get into Temple of Fiends Revisited about 10 minutes before you did. He unfortunately ran into zombie dragons, and I don't think you found out what they had.
I know.
They had nuke. And unfortunately, he lost his red mage.
Okay, I assume that was really nasty, especially with the foreign zombie dragon encounter. I felt like I don't know, Crystal Spirit was, taking over my play when I went all the way like a huge hero walk from that specific floor where you get 4 zombie dragons, and then I did another hero walk in the water floor.
So something that you might make you feel a little better. You were pretty much lockstep with Files up until getting the finishing checking the crown chests, and that's
Mhm.
when you diverted to you went to ice and Files went to volcano. But after your level grind, you played pretty much perfect execution wise up through that, and managed to make up a bit of time. And
Uh-huh.
and the Warmech fights and the tremendous amount of experience you got off of both actually benefited you with respect to the Tiamat fight. And Tiamat had very high absorb, and Files 42 black belt was not doing nearly much damage as your 46, I think, black belt was.
I don't know, I think it was 47, 48. But
Yeah,
yeah, you were on those lines.
Yeah, so I think the extra couple levels you picked up, deciding to punch out the Warmex really made a huge difference.
Yeah, I said that if I'm going to lose, at least I'm going to give a little excitement to the chat. So I said to the death on those two Mormons. And Files did a 42 black belt, and he still lost. That is very not what you would expect, you know. I think it's the first time that a 42 black belt just doesn't do the job.
Yeah, he lost the red mage to a 4 earth encounter, and after that, it was pretty difficult for him. Lost the thief to Kraken, lost the fighter to Tiamat, and ran out of heal potions during a Whizvamp vampire fight.
Those vampires hit so hard. They one-shotted my red mage, and I thought I was gonna die when my black belt was against 6 of them. 5 or 6 of them on the air floor, and I don't know. I don't think that I should have won this in some respects, because I played like really freaking bad. It was TOFR. The Temple of Fiends just didn't want Files to win this one, and I'm not gonna take any credit that I played well or not. It was just huge luck, like really huge. He had a 42 black belt. He should have won. I mean, I'm happy that I won, yeah, but I feel like I played like butts.
Yeah, and I was actually curious about one decision you made, which was when you found out that it was adamant in Ice Cave, you just went ahead and reset instead of walking out with that and with the white shirt you took a pass on.
I didn't care about anything except for the slab. I didn't care about, my intention from the start was to grind the black belt, and I didn't care if I got anything down there, not even the tail. I just needed to save. My mind wasn't. I needed to save time because I went into Ice Cave, I died, and then I leveled up to 13 before going back in, thinking that I would get a charge of warp on the red mage, but that didn't happen. And I said that I just gotta go. I gotta do everything I can to just go.
If that chest was Mazmune, would you have?
No, I didn't care about anything except for the slab. I wasn't gonna take anything from there except for the slab.
Okay, I was curious if you would have switched to a fighter, a fighter focused party instead of a black belt.
No, I said with I'm so far. I thought I was really far behind because of that dive or those dives in Ice Cave. My only chance was Files getting stuck in TOFR, and that's what happened. And my fighter didn't have a weapon the entire game, actually.
What was he on, the dragon sword?
I sold the dragon sword to get a pro ring.
Yeah, so Files was running the dragon sword for most of the game.
Yeah, I guess Holiday and Win still prevailed in some respects. But yeah, I can't believe that in a round 3 flag, a 42 black belt didn't do it. I guess that's just mind-boggling to me.
How
Yeah.
critical was the ribbons in your decision for this strategy? Did it matter that you had found them? Did it matter that you found 2 of them?
Yes, it did matter when I was getting thundered and lightning to death on the ice cape, and it mattered when the sap and the what else did they do to me? The no, I think it was the sap on the black belt that might have killed him, and that just guaranteed that I didn't die. Yeah, I think I would take that ribbon again if I get the choice.
So next up for you, if I have this right, is you get to face Ice Blue in a single elimination match.
I believe that's round 4, right?
Yep.
All right, let's see if holding win still prevails. I haven't had a chance to do stupid strats. I always get a thief. Well, I got the thief this in my last one.
Yeah, for the you both ran the same party. Were you tempted at all to run a fighter focus party, given that you had fighter thief, or were you always going to run the black belt?
No, I was always going to run the black belt. I listen. This is something that I don't want to admit, and I don't hate black belts. I'm okay with them. It's a good strategy. It sometimes, most of the time, it works, but sometimes you can beat it with a good mid game and an accessible TOFR. I've done it before, but it's so hard. I mean, the highest probability to win this tournament is a black belt, hands down. And it's gonna be interesting when we get to the 4 party member randomized and nobody gets a black belt. That's gonna be fun. But yeah, I don't want to admit this, but black belt is the way to go if you want to win this. You'll have the highest probability to win. That TOFR, I wouldn't have been able to do it with a friggin' Moss Moon level 25, 28 party. No way.
Yeah, not without. There were no signs of fast anywhere, were there?
I didn't check Crescent Lake and on, but up to level 5 there was no fast. There was only temper on level 3.
Well, Miaut, you gave us a great show tonight, and we don't want to sell Philes short. He made every reasonable and good play that he could. This was just bad RNG tonight. Really made a difference for him.
Yeah, I agree. He should have won this race. TOFR, like I said, every single seed that not every single seed. Anybody who I go up against, only TOFR matters to me. Yeah.
But you both gave us a great show tonight. We all appreciate it, and we wish you well.
All right.
We wish you well going forward in the rest of the tournament.
Sounds good.
Edge, any final thoughts?
No, I just congratulations to both runners on a great game, and stay tuned for Speed Gaming. Up next is the Spectre Knight tournament.
All right, and again, thank you for Speed Gaming for being a great partner to the Final Fantasy 1 Randomizer tournament and hosting us tonight. Thank you to all of you who watched, and please have a great rest of your night.